Hello, Morongo Basin, and listeners around the world online at Z107.7fm.com. Here is the Z107.7 local news for Thursday, November 14th, 2024. A motorcycle rider was killed in a collision in Yucca Valley yesterday. Just before 8:30 a.m., San Bernardino County Sheriff's deputies responded to a traffic collision near the intersection of Onaga Trail and Ilata Avenue in Yucca Valley. The Sheriff's Department said that there was a collision involving a motorcycle and a truck, but further details were not available as of this morning. Responding deputies performed life-saving measures on the motorcycle rider, and he was taken to High Desert Medical Center in Joshua Tree, where he was later pronounced dead. The motorcycle rider was identified by the coroner as David Valdez, a 45-year-old resident of Yucca Valley. The Sheriff's Department said that additional details related to this collision will be released. Stay tuned to Z107.7 for updates. A man was arrested on suspicion of possessing weapons and drugs during an early morning vehicle check in Joshua Tree. Yesterday at 3:45 a.m., County Sheriff's deputies with the Morongo Basin Station made contact with a man sitting in a parked vehicle near Halley Road and Verbena Road in Joshua Tree. Deputies identified the man as Christopher Porro, 32, and say that he was found to be in possession of a concealed knife and suspected methamphetamine. Christopher Porro was arrested on suspicion of being in possession of a concealed dirk or dagger and booked into the Morongo Basin Jail. He has since been released on bail. Last night, the Yucca Valley Airport District held its monthly board meeting to discuss maintenance needs, new signage, runway sweeping, and potential plans for 6 new hangars. Reporter Hillary Sloan has the latest on the airport's development.
At September's Yucca Valley Airport District meeting, board members joined by Yucca Valley Mayor Robert Lombardo discussed improvement plans for the airport. While funding remains uncertain, Board Director Tim Lewis emphasized that current efforts focus on refurbishing transient parking with longer-term goals of establishing a fuel facility and adding hangar space. The immediate priority, however, is cleaning up the infield and parking areas visible from Highway 62, which have seen increased air traffic in the last couple of weeks. Initially launched in 2006, the hangar project was delayed when the Local Agency Formation Commission, LAFCO, nearly dissolved the district due to funding challenges. Tax revenue intended for improvements had to be diverted to cover legal costs, but the board's attention is finally being redirected toward improvements with the hope of finding future funding. Join the community for the monthly Antique Aircraft Show this Sunday, November 17th, from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. Enjoy antique planes, friendly faces, and a slice of history. For Z107.7, this is reporter Hillary Sloan.
As ballots continue to be counted in a close race to represent State Assembly District 47, incumbent Greg Wallace has seemingly overtaken challenger Christy Holstage's lead. As of earlier this week, Holstage, a Democrat, had a slight lead over the Republican incumbent, but new ballot counts now give Wallace the edge with 50.5% of the vote. Votes for Wallace are now 106,617 to Holstage's 104,573, a difference of 2,044 votes. Ballots are still being counted, and election results will not be certified by the state until December 13th. Joshua Tree National Park was once a monument, and a similar area just south of Cottonwood entrance hopes to get the same designation before the end of the year. Here's online news editor Robert Hayden with the latest.
On August 10th, Joshua Tree National Park celebrated a birthday. 83 years ago, the area was designated a national monument by President Franklin Roosevelt. That original effort was almost single-handedly championed by the original desert defender, Minerva Hoyt, who used her generational wealth and passion for the desert to have the 825,000 acres protected as a monument in 1936. Then, on October 31st, 1994, Joshua Tree National Monument was elevated to national park status when the Desert Protection Act was signed in by then-President Bill Clinton. The change was slightly semantic in nature. Monuments tend to be land reserved by the Department of Interior because they contain objects of historic, prehistoric, or scientific interest, whereas a national park probably contains those things but also has a large amount of recreational and educational value. With Joshua Tree National Park topping over 3 million visitors a year, the park has become one of the most popular out of the 63 total national parks. Today, there's a similar swath of land adjacent to the park that's hoping for the same treatment. The proposed Chuckwalla National Monument is 627,000 acres south of Interstate 10 and north of the Chocolate Mountains, butting up against Joshua Tree National Park and stretching east almost to the Colorado River. The proposed national monument is relying on President Biden to use the Antiquities Act of 1906 to designate the new national monument. Today, senators, conservationists, scientists, and nature-loving citizens have urged the president to designate the monument, but time is running out. President-elect Donald Trump's policies in his first term were notoriously unfriendly to public lands and the federal policies protecting them. During that first term, one of President Trump's first actions in public land policy was to reduce Bears Ears and Grand Staircase national monuments in Utah. It was largely seen as a retaliatory act since Barack Obama had proclaimed Bears Ears a national monument in 2016. While the proposed Chuckwalla National Monument doesn't appear to have natural resources that would be of interest to gas, oil, or energy industries, the monument could be in the crosshairs of the new administration if President Biden declares it a monument. Those are two big ifs, and supporters of the nascent national monument can only wait and see if President Biden will designate the land with the Antiquities Act, only to see it undone in the first few weeks of President Trump's second term. Reporting for Z107.7 News, I'm Robert Hayden.
The first annual 29 Palms Rock Rumble Royale, a bouldering competition and conservation event, is coming to Joshua Tree National Park December 13th. Organizer Seth Zaharias will be the guest on the Z107.7 Up Close show tomorrow. The event will combine fierce competition among top climbers and recreational climbers and focus on environmental conservation. Hear all the plans for what is projected to become the premier bouldering and conservation event in the United States tomorrow morning on the Z107.7 Up Close show at 10 a.m. And finally, the California Highway Patrol's Morongo Basin area is kicking off the annual Chips for Kids toy drive today with a collection event at the Yucca Valley Walgreens. Officers will be on hand to collect gifts in person from 4 p.m. to 7 p.m. The gifts will be distributed to needy children, from infants to teenagers. If you can't make it to the event today, you can still donate toys to the Chips for Kids until December 22nd. There will be collection boxes at stores throughout the high desert. You can see a list of locations in this story at Z107.7fm.com. That's our local news. Hear local news 7 times a day, 7 days a week at 7, 8, 9, noon, 4, 5, and 6. If you hear about news happening, let us know. Email us at tips@z1077fm.com. Reporting for the Morongo Basin News Leader, the award-winning Z1077 Local News, I'm Jeff Harmetz.